Hey guys, welcome back to Easel Does It Studio. So today I'm going to show you this new technique that I saw Perfectly Twisted, I think is her channel. And these are just gorgeous. They make really pretty bracelets. Now this one was a lot prettier, but I put it in my tumbler to polish it and I forgot it for like 2 hours. So it started wearing the color off. So I've still been wearing it, if it's just for me, I don't really care. It's not that noticeable, but I figured I would show you how to do it. So I've got a few links already made. Now I use stainless steel wire. And I thought this was 16 gauge, but it's actually 18. And it's still tough enough to work with. And then I used the 20 for the other part. So my bracelet for this one, it makes like a 8 inch with the clasp. But, it fits around and, it's loose on me. Because I take about a 6 1/4 on my wrist. But I like them a little bit long. So I ended up getting some 8 millimeter beads. And these are bigger. You can see the difference. These beads are much bigger than these ones. So I thought maybe they would look better. So I'm like, well, let's make a bracelet and we will see. So I ordered the same beads that I had, like it was a 6-pack. Well, I ordered the 8 millimeter, but this one came in an 8-pack. So it has 2 different extra style beads. So I thought those were kind of cool. So I'll be doing something with these here at some point. But for now, we're going to be using these. They're red and green. So I figured it'd be perfect with Christmas coming up. Why not, right? So you need about a 4-inch piece of 18, 16, whatever gauge that you have. You want to be able to try to keep it somewhat straight, and you'll see when I start doing it. And I broke my flush cutters trying to cut this wire. But it's hard when you got to get in, like these cut the wire good, but when you got to get in the little crooks, it's hard to get this one in. So I had bought this, but the ends of it, I'm going to see if my husband can sharpen it. I don't know. Maybe I just got to get a different pair. But that's for another day. So you take your 4-inch piece of wire and you put your bead roughly in the middle. It doesn't have to be because I end up sliding mine up towards the top. And then I take anywhere from 9 to a 10-inch piece. This is the 20 gauge. So this is the 18. This is the 20. And this is really easy once you get the hang of it. And I should have probably cleaned up all this crud before I started videoing. But I figured if I got a few of them done, then I could kind of, show you. And I wasn't even thinking because I'm going to end up having to use jump rings now to attach these because I closed them already like an idiot. But that's okay. So you take your 20 gauge and hopefully I zoomed in a little bit more than normal. I got my stand that I usually film my resin projects with to bring that up. So you put this about halfway and then you just lay it across. You're just laying it there. Then you take your wire and you just bend it around, holding it firm, and then kind of bend that down. And then I take my pliers and I cinch it. Well, Really, Michelle, get with it here. All right. And then I'm going to just kind of push that up to the bead, and then I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to wrap this right underneath so it's facing the same direction as the other one, and squeeze that nice and tight. So now we've got both of our wires coming out of the top like that. And that's the most difficult part of this whole thing. Well, one of the difficult. It's not difficult, but it is. All right, so then you take one of your wires. I'm going to take the one on the left and just slowly bend it over that top wire like that. And then hold it and bend this underneath. And then I squeeze it. So now you have that other wire on the same side. So now we're going to take the inside wire and we are going to just gently cross it over. And right next to the bottom, we're going to roll that around. And then give it a good pinch. And then I try to like keep my wires straight, and I try to keep them cinched together. And then we're just going to take the one we just brought through, and we are going to cross that right back over all of them and feed that under. And then cinch it. So now we have both on the same side again. We're going to take the inside one. And I've been just doing three rows around. So this is going to be my last one. So we're going to roll it over on the top, bringing that close, cinching that around, and squeezing it. So now we have 3 on each side. So I'm just going to go through. Now, if you're using the coated wire, be very gentle on this step because it can damage your wire. So now I'm just going to take and wrap that around to finish it off. And I'm just going to give 2 wraps. So whichever side you want your swag on, whether it's on the left or the right. So let's see, I have, that one's left, that one's right, and that one's left. So this, my swag has to be on this side. So I'm going to just bring this around again. I'm going to cinch it because you want your cut to be towards the back. So I'm cutting that on the top, and now I'm just going to snip this really close so that I can feed this to the back and cinch it in. And now we got to just straighten out our little loopy thing here. So now the swag is going to be on the right-hand side. You can do them where they're all going on the same side. That's what she did. But I'm just going to do it a little bit different. I'm going to have one going on one side and one going on the other. So now I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom. And that's the bottom. Let's see what this... And I need to go around one more time so that they're even. cross that over like a dummy here. There we go. You just have to bring that back around. I'm just gonna squeeze that. And then I'm just gonna open that back up so that I can cut this off. Nope, that's my back. Okay, hang on. Now I can cut it. This is the hardest part, is trying to figure out what side to put your cuts at. Your little tails to get them tucked in. And then we can just take our pliers and cinch everything down and straighten out our wires. Okay. So this is the side I needed it on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the bottom and I'm just going to take this and wiggle it and slide it up, because the swag piece is separate from your core wire. And then just kind of straighten your wire back out if you can. Because now we're going to bend this tail up over our piece. Like that. And then I'm just going to squeeze it down a little bit here, so we can leave enough to get a jump ring or something in. And then on the opposite side of the swag, we're going to hold this like this. And we're just going to pull this wire out ever so gently. And then I kind of hold it this way. And I just start getting this to wrap around on this side. So it's right above where those previous wraps were. And now this is a hard part for me because of the type of wire I'm using. But if you were using craft, just regular coated wire, this wouldn't be an issue at all. So I'm going to hold this here, and I'm going to start bending that over so that it's kind of going to the back. And then I have to try to get in there with these and snip that wire. But see how it leaves it a little too long? And sometimes I can get a little bit more in with my memory wire cutters. And then we're just going to fold this onto the wire that's there, so that it's resting up against the back of it. And that way there's no pokey bits. It's just kind of sitting in there like that. And then I'm going to take the bottom and I'm just going to kink the side a little bit to give it a little twist. I'm trying to line that up a little bit better. My little twisty thing isn't perfect, so I'm going to try to straighten that out a little. All right. So I try to leave like a little over a centimeter to make my loops. And as you can see, my loops are not perfect. I'm going to go with a centimeter. And I always bend mine to the left. I don't know why, but I do, or to the back. So I bent that over, and then I'm just going to take my round nose, and we're going to just make a loop. Like that. And I'll then try to straighten it out, and we can pinch that in. Oh, never mind. I just realized yeah, never mind. We're not going to need jump rings. I'm totally spacing it. All right, so now we have got four links done. So if you want to connect them, well, let's make one more. I'm just going to go through it here, and so you can see the process again. And make sure you get the lighter gauge wire. I'm just going to try to straighten that out as best I can. So I'm going to go with, like, I don't know, 9 inches. You just want to leave yourself enough that you can do your swag. So again, we're going to put our bead on our thicker gauge wire. That's 4 inches. Try to get it somewhat centered on your long wire that just sits on top. And then we are going to hold it. So it's finding an angle that works for you to be able to hold that wire. And then bring it around underneath. And we're going to squeeze that. And then we're going to turn our piece. And we're going to make sure that that is nice, touching our bead. And we're going to bring that around to the back. And then we're going to give that a good squeeze. Make sure it's up nice and tight on the bead, and then straighten out your other wires. Now see how mine, I have it more, not in the center. I have it more towards the top. I'm okay with that because I know I want to slide that up. So I'm just going to hold my bead here. And I'm going to take this top wire, and we're going to slowly bend that over the wire that's already there, bringing it up tight to the bead, like that. And then wrap that underneath. And give it a nice squeeze. So now both wires are on the same side. We're going to take the inside wire, and we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to slowly bend that over the top, getting it as close to that other mark down here. And we're going to run that underneath. And we're going to give that a squeeze. And I've found with doing it, if you can keep each time you do it, if you can keep those fairly tight, it's much easier to do. So now we have 2 wraps. So we're going to take the left one, the one we just brought over, and we're going to roll that around to the other side, and we're going to bend that under. And we're going to give that a good squeeze. See how that's separated? I want to bring that right back in right now where it's like that. Because it makes it easier as you're doing it to fix any little oopsies. And then we're going to take that inside wire, and this is our 3rd and final wrap. So we're going to bring that and try not to do what I did and make it all crooked. And then we're going to give that a squeeze. And then I just go along and squeeze, like all the swag pieces, just to kind of make sure they're nice and lined up. And then we're just going to wrap that around. Get it nice and tight. Now, this one, we need the swag. All right, we got, that is right, left, right, left. So we need the swag on the right side. So I'm gonna squeeze that down a little bit. Bring that down for a second wrap. And now I'm gonna cut it because I want that tucked in the back. Like that. And then we're going to flip this over and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to bring that around. We're going to squeeze that nice and tight. And we're going to bring it around again. And then we'll do it again, and we'll cut it. Cut that off right there. Hopefully, guys, I've been in frame for you guys, so you can, I'm slow. I'm trying to get better with my, my slowing down and showing you guys kind of what I'm doing. Now, this one here is not perfect, but that's the beauty, I guess, of handmade jewelry. All right, so we need the swag on that side. So I'm just going to hold this and I'm just going to wiggle this up a little bit. Because the more you have of this, the easier it is to try to get it wrapped around. That's what I've been finding. So, I mean, you could actually use a little bit longer wire for your main wire. It's just totally up to you. All right, so now I'm going to hold it right underneath my wraps, and I'm going to fold this up on top. I'm going to grab it. I'm going to give it a squeeze so that this part stays open. And then I'm going to hold it, and we're going to get our wire angled to the side. And then we're going to start bringing this up and behind that wire. Like that. So you want that sitting on top of your loopies. And then hold the wire so that you can bend this one over. And this is the part I struggle the most. Because of trying to be able to, get it to hold and still be able to cut it. Because for some reason, these don't want to cut unless they're in the middle. There we go. So I have to use the table as leverage. And then we're just going to fold this end into that wire. There we go. Come on. Yeah, so this is the part I struggle the longest on. So I think what I'm going to try to do maybe is instead of using a 20, I'm going to use like a 22-inch gauge to see if that helps. There we go. I got it this time. And then we're going to take the bottom, because now see how it's, I'm just going to take the very end and just bend it. Where you have this outside, that's how I bend mine to give it that little swirl. And then we can just kind of pull everything together. And I got to trim off just a little bit more of that wire. And then we're going to fold it over, take our round nose, and we're going to make a loop. Like that. So now we have our swag on this side, our swag on that side. So let's start putting this together. I was thinking we had to use jump rings, but you don't. What you got to do is take your loop, scissor it open, and put your end in, and then we're just going to scissor that back in. So there's the start of our swag. So then we're going to scissor that open. We're going to put the next one on, making sure that the swag is opposite this side. And then we are going to close our loop. And then we're going to, and see, I have my loop going on the opposite side on this one. So that's why if you can make your loops go in the same way all the time, it will work better. But, all right. So this is got to go on this way. And then we're going to close our loop. So now we have the swag going every other one. And I'm going to leave that. That's a smaller loop. So I'm going to open up. And which way is this one going? So, no. I have no choice. I have to put this one on the top. And let's see. I'm going to pop that open. Oh, and it fits. Thank goodness. And then we're going to close it. And there we have our beautiful little bracelet. So I need one more. So let's just quickly make that. So hopefully you guys enjoy this. It's something different. Crossing that over. And I seem to struggle more when I stop to talk than when I'm like just doing it. You know what I mean? Because you're trying to make sure that your angles and, you got everything right. So you kind of, I don't know, I get more in my head when I'm filming. But this is also a new thing for me to be filming, is making jewelry. All right, so we're going to take the left side. We're going to fold it over and under. And I'm going to take the inside, wrap that over the top of the wire above that other one and around. And then we're just going to go back over, bringing that nice and snug and around. And that's our third on that side. And this will be our third on this side. I'm going to flatten my swag out. Going to wrap that. And this one here has got to be, let's see. So the swag has got to be on this side. So I'm just going to bring that around again. And then I'm going to cut that off. I try to get as close as I can. And then we're going to fold this around and in. Okay. And then we're going to do the same on this side. Second. And now we're gonna get that to get in there snug if I can. And then I'm gonna cut this close. And then we're going to tuck it in. All right, so now, see how my bead is already towards the top? That's exactly what I want. So I'm going to take my pliers and we are going to fold this over. I'm going to give this a little squeeze down if I can. And then I'm going to hold the end of it. We're going to pull this out. And then we're going to just start bringing this, rounding it to the top of our loops. And it works better to me if you can squeeze this part in, because it makes your loop, your swag thing, I don't know, it just, to me, it works better. And then I'm gonna hold that wire and I'm going to try to get that crossed over and try to come in somewhat close and snip and then cinch that into itself. Excuse me. So it just gets connected to itself onto your swag wire. There we go. So just like that. Oh, my foot's asleep. All right. So then we're just going to take the bottom, straighten it out a little bit, and I'm going to give it a little quick over. Like that. So I'm going to measure. It's about 1 centimeter. bend that over, take the round nose, and we're going to make that loop. And then we're going to scissor it open, put it through, and close her down. So now we have our bracelet all made except for the clasp. And I'm going to use the 20 gauge. So I just take, I don't know, 4 or 5 inches. What's my, let's do 5 just to be on the safe side. All right, so I am going to bend a section over, and this is probably too much, but and squeeze that as tight together as you can, like that. So you have like one, it's basically one wire made out of 2. And then I'm gonna come down about a 1/2 inch, and we're just gonna bend that right over, just like that. So we have a hook. And then I'm gonna take this very end, and we're gonna just give it a little crook up, and then we have to reflatten, straighten everything out. And I like to squeeze that so it's somewhat tight. Actually, I think I picked the right amount. Of bend. So then you want just enough where you can make some loops. So I'm just going to bend to the back, and we're just gonna close that in. You might have to do individually. So you just want to kind of get them so that they're kind of staying together. And then we might have to mess with them just a little bit to get them to stay. All right, I'm going to separate these just a smidge so that I can make sure that my loops are folded in and not sticking out. See how that one's sticking out a little bit? You don't want that. There we go. And then we can just kind of give them a little. And if you run your wire back and forth like that, it kind of keeps it together. So now we have our little hook. So I will need to get a jump ring. Oh, and look, my new jump rings just came in. These are stainless steel jump rings. So I ordered stainless steel jump rings and stainless steel spacer beads, the little silver balls, because I want the whole piece to like not tarnish. And let me see. What's the size? Yeah, that's going to be a good size. So we're going to take our hook. We're going to put our little hook through, put it at the end of the bracelet. And then we're going to just close it up. So now we have our hook. Now, sometimes if you make your loops big enough, the hook will fit through the loop. If not, then you just got to put a jump ring. Let me see here. And there we go. And now we have our little bracelet. And then you just take this and just squeeze it. Once you get it on your wrist, you squeeze it a little bit tighter. You can actually even take your pliers and give it a good, you know, a little squeeze. Like that. But there we have it. And then when you want to take it off, you just, you know, pop your loop out and it comes off. So that is our cute little swag bracelets. And I kind of like it better, I think, with the bigger stones. I don't know. What do you guys think? Alrighty, guys. That is going to do it for today. And I will see you guys on the next video. Bye, everyone.